if you listen deeply to that other person and they reveal their secret desires and what they're not getting from the world, just take that in and go, if I give her a gift or take her to a place that fills that very thing that she said she's not getting, man, that'll have such a powerful effect on that person. Even if you've been in a relationship for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I've been in a relationship for decades, I'm afraid I have to admit. And you still have to go through that process.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the questions you can ask to find out someone's secret desires without saying, what are your secret desires?
You just have to listen. Okay, so the main thing is get them to talk about their childhood.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not obviously, don't go, tell me about your father. Was he nice to you? Just.
What question can you ask in an organic, relaxed way that would open that up, do you think?
Well, in the course of a context, you can say, I don't know, it's like, are you close to your parents? Do you see them? And then just without being, too inquisitive, without making it clear that that's what you're doing, just get them to talk about their early life.
Why is that important to figuring out people's secret desires as adults, asking about their childhood?
Because it's the key to everything.
Really?
In the Laws of Human Nature, I have a chapter about, I call it about gender, about the mix of the masculine and feminine in us. And there's a concept from the great psychologist Jung called the anima and animus. And he basically says that from a man, from his mother, if you're straight, because these things change, the man from his mother internalizes an image of women that it will haunt him for his entire life.
Wow.
Right? Because the relationship between a mother and son is very intense. It's not the same as between a mother and a daughter, right? Because she's the opposite gender. You're suckling on her breast. She's the only person you know for the first couple of years. It's very powerful. And unconsciously, her image slips inside of you. You internalize a part of it. And you're going to have this, you're going to carry with this. Even if you don't like your mother and you come to not like her later on, that image is still inside of you and you're still going to choose women that have some of those qualities that you would like, you wish your mother had or that she did have. So those early relationships, the woman with her father will tell you so much about her and about her weaknesses and her vulnerabilities.
Really?
And what she's missing. Yeah.
So what if if the person...
That's one,
okay.
Anything where the person gets excited, right?
Then just take note of that.
Yeah.
And start
If you touch upon a subject and you see that they get nervous or they laugh a lot, they're very excited, just put that in your little index there and go and return to it. Know you've hit upon a chord, a subject that either excites them or gives them like fear or whatever. There's something very powerful going on there, right?
Right.
So, and childhood is a very powerful one like that.
So, what should people be aware of when they're getting into a relationship? What do you think are a few questions they should ask and get answers to see if it's a potential for a good relationship or it's going to be completely off or they're just wasting their time trying to get into this? Are there any questions you can think of?
Well, no, I can't think of questions. It's more like...
Or should it be asking, how is your parents' relationship and this and that?
It's not that direct. It's not that verbal. It's not that intellectual. It's more of a kind of a spirit meshing between two people, right? So there are plenty of examples of couples that have done extremely well where they kind of disagree on political issues, although that can be a problem as well. But there's a little bit of tension on that, but they connect on some deeper level. I refer people to that chapter I was just talking about in the Laws of Human Nature, where there's a level where we connect to people that is not on the surface, that is kind of nonverbal, that has to do with our unconscious, that has to do with things that we've never been able to get from our parents or whatever. And we kind of have these ideals that have been unmet. And connecting on that level, connecting on the level of spirit, where your emotions, it's more like your emotions mesh together well than your ideas. Like there's,
Yes.
and because if that other person is incredibly dramatic and out there, and that's not something you can, even though they have the similar ideas to you, it's going to grate on your nerves.
I saw a post recently, excuse me, about something like, I'm going to mess this up, but something like you don't marry the person, you marry the person's like trauma, you marry their, in-laws trauma, you marry like what they haven't healed yet, you marry their emotional, the relationship to certain things. You're marrying the emotions of the person, really.
Yes, exactly.
And being aware, like, just because they look great and just because you have fun together certain times, you're really marrying all the other stuff along with it.
Right, and you won't find that out right away.
Because they're good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Right? They're good at, like, reserving that until 6 months, a year, 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
So it's making sure that your emotions mesh well over your ideals. Is that what I'm hearing?
Over the intellectual part, over just the superficial fact that you both vote Democratic or Republican, or that you both like this movie director. I mean, certain tastes that mesh are important, but I don't think there has to be kind of a charge between you, a kind of something that goes on underneath the surface that has nothing to do with just words or kind of superficial things. There's something deep,
spiritual.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will think, oh, we have all these things in common, we have this connection, this is a great match, but then they don't experience the emotional or spiritual level.
Right.
And then that comes out later and you're like, well, we are from the same city and we went to the same school and we voted whatever.
Yeah.
And we have similar friends and we like to go to baseball games.
Yeah.
But if there's not that spiritual or emotional meshing.
Bro, well, you hit your idea is very apt. You are marrying the other person's emotions, right? And so that's not something that you see right away. And you could love the same movies, you can have all these other things. But if that part isn't connecting on the right way, if they're revealing something that's going to really drive you crazy after several months or years, it doesn't matter about how well your ideas are similar.
What if your ideas are amazing together, the sexual connection is incredible, but the emotional level is not in sync? Like,
well, it's hard to generalize.
Yes.
Have a relationship. It'll probably last just a few weeks or a couple months. It'll be hard to build a relationship where you don't connect on this kind of deeper level. Mm-hmm. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen. And it isn't to say that people can't change, right? So, you might discover after 5 years that this person has qualities that kind of get on your nerves a little bit. You wish you had seen them earlier. But by then you've fallen in love with them.
Right.
And you go, I can appreciate their weaknesses. I can love their weaknesses. I can get over it. It still kind of irritates me. It still irritates me, but there's something deeper. I actually really love this person. And even their flaws are lovable. And that happens, right? So it's hard to generalize about everything. And you can't change. You can see that maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm too cold and rational and they're too dramatic, and maybe I can learn from her or him and become more like them. People change, and that's the great thing about a great relationship, is the ability for the other person to change you as well.
To influence you, yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been in your relationship now?
It's over 20 years.
Over 20 years. What do you wish you knew about, being in a long-term relationship like this 20 years ago? Is there anything you would have done differently on your end, or anything that you would wish you would have known to, I don't know, it seems like it's been a happy, healthy relationship to last that long. But is there anything you wish you would have knew earlier, Robert, at that point before getting into the relationship?
You mean, and not have the relationship, or what?
No, and being in the relationship, like things that you could have, I don't know, it's things you could have eliminated or things that you could have done differently yourself to make it even greater, or wish you would have solved things before challenges came up for you, if they did come up?
Well,
Or have you just been the king of relationships?
No, not at all. As I've made very clear, I have got my own problems, my own flaws, No, I mean, being more forgiving would have probably helped. You know, I can be kind of rigid and kind of stubborn, thinking I know the right way all the time. And I felt like, you know, she had certain flaws that were really too strong. And if I could just like, you know, go with them and say that I have flaws as well and be a little more humble and being more forgiving of her, I think that would have helped.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not easy all the time.